Hi everyone, Rachel Jensen here, broker owner of Luna Realty in Belize on the beautiful island of Ambergris Key. Today we have our In the Inbox series, and this is when we review the questions that you ask and give you answers to those questions. If you are new to the series, go back to the YouTube channel, our Luna Realty YouTube channel. You'll find more questions there for In the Inbox that have been asked by people like you who are looking at real estate here in Belize or just want to get to know the island of Ambergris Key a little bit more. So with that, we're going to get started and go through the next question. We're on question number 12, and that is from Eswar. And Eswar is actually one of my clients who's here on the island right now. And this is a question that has come up in our conversation. He's here to look at investment property. His goal is really to have this be a property that's producing rental income for him. Maybe he'll come down every now and again and use it, but really it's geared towards investment. So he's asking, what are the standard rental management fees in Belize? And this is a great question because they are all over the board. There are a handful of different rental management companies here on the island, and they all offer, more or less the same services, but offer in different ways. Some offer packages where you can choose the sort of services you want and put together your own personalized packages. Others have standard fees, set fees. This is what they charge. Doesn't matter where you are. A lot of them, though, do have fees dependent on your specific location on the island, too, if you're closer to town versus if you are 10 miles north and your home or your condo there needs management. But we're going to talk about what the standard rates are. Now, note that these are just standard. It's average. It could change depending on many factors, but we are just going to discuss the standards today. So there are two different types of rentals that you can have here on the island. The first is a long-term rental, and then the second is nightly rental or vacation rental. So when it comes to long-term rentals, it's typically defined as 6 months or more. So as an owner of a home, you will decide if you want to rent out your home on a long-term basis for 6 months or more, or if you want to rent it out on a nightly basis. There is also that midterm market, which is a little gray. It's not really long-term, but it's not really nightly. So it just kind of fits somewhere in the middle. You'll have to talk to the property manager there about what fees they typically set for that, because it's not quite vacation rental, but it's not quite long-term. But just for the sake of the conversation here, long-term is defined as 6 months or more. Now, if the renter who is going to be renting your place is a non-resident or non-citizen of Belize, they do have to pay a 9% hotel tax. And I'm going to jump there to the fourth bullet point. You do need to have a BTB license. If you're doing long-term rentals to residents or citizens here, then you do not need to have a BTB license, and that renter does not pay the 9% hotel tax. Standard rates. So this is getting down to what our initial question was standard rates are typically 10 to 15% of that monthly rental or first month's rent. Now it depends. I think more or less I've seen the standard rates be the percentage, the 10 to 15%. However, I know there are some places that are charging the first month's rent instead. So do note that for long term, if you are looking at a long-term rental, do note that you don't have as much flexibility to come down and visit, because you will have somebody there in your space. But it's a great way to get the guaranteed rental income. You know exactly what's going to be coming in every month. Typically for long-term rentals, the renter is paying the utilities. So they're paying the electric, they're paying the water, depends on your cable or internet. Some people have that included in HOA, but if it's not, then they typically pay those fees as well. Now let's jump down to nightly rates. So nightly rental rates, I've seen numbers all across the board, anywhere from 25% to 50%. The ones that are on the higher end of that spectrum tend to be more of the luxury properties that really have proven themselves in the marketplace. Or Marriott, for example, Marriott Hotel here, they have two hotels. One of their hotels is 40%. That they charge, the other is 50%. But at the end of the day, when you look at the breakdown of their fees and what other extras they charge on top of that, it's about the same. But we do tend to see that those larger hotel chains or the more developed properties here, more luxurious properties, do tend to be on the higher scale there. If you're finding something that's lower than 20%, I would say just be conscious, be wary of what they're producing for you. In Belize, it is a little bit more expensive to do rental management. And one of the big things here to note, though, that they do usually include more services than they include in a lot of North American rental management companies. So for example, they will pay your Belize income tax, your 1.75% income tax. They will report the income tax for you here in Belize. I don't know any North American company that's doing that. But there are a lot of extra things here that I've tend to see in better services. They do a lot more of the concierge services, especially for vacation rental. They'll coordinate the pickup of your guests from the airport. Again, it depends though entirely on the rental management company and what it is that you decide with them and what package you decide to go with them. But don't be surprised if you're seeing anywhere from 25 to 50% rental management. That is standard here. The renter or the guest will pay that 9% hotel tax. And then you do need to have your BTB license in order to do nightly rentals. I had a whole presentation about rentals in Belize. If anybody's interested in it, feel free to reach out to me directly. It is also on the YouTube channel, but it goes more in depth about what you really need to know when you're looking at rentals in Belize, including that BTB license. That is a very important part of the process here. And it is probably one of the most time consuming elements of it. It does take about 8 months. I heard some people get it in 6 months. I've heard some people get it in a year. So it just takes a little bit of time, but usually your rental management company will be able to go through that with you and help you through that process. If not, you can hire them to do that process for you if you're not planning to be here and planning to do all of the follow-ups. So that just gives you an idea of the general rates. Again, there's a lot of personalization that you can typically do to these packages, but just wanted to give you an idea. So when you're crunching numbers, and just make sure that you're factoring these sort of numbers in. Now, if you are new to the rental market here in Belize, there are 12 must-know facts that you really need to know before you buy property in the country. Feel free to reach out to me. I would love to send this over to you. My best email address there is info@lunarealtybelize.com, info@lunarealtybelize.com. Reach out. We'll get this over to you. Or if you have any questions about the rental market or whatnot here, I don't personally have rentals in our portfolio at Luna Realty, but we can certainly connect you to people who do. Thanks, everyone, and we hope to see you here in Belize. Bye-bye.